Hi, everybody. I wanted to go ahead and come to you today. I've had a couple of requests asking me if I would do a video on a tutorial on some canning. And I wanted to go ahead and show you all a few steps, some different methods. Let me first say that I am by no means an expert. I know what works for me and for our family, and I know how to do what I know how to do, so I just figure I'd share some of the things that I have learned. First, I want to go ahead and just kind of give you all some information about canning. There's different ways that you can preserve your food. You can you can dehydrate, you can do jellies and jams, you can freeze dry your food, or you could just store your food in the freezer. But what we're going to do is we're going to talk about canning specifically. And canning is basically a way to be able to preserve your food, fresh food, for a long period of time, up to months and even years, really. And so there are some benefits. I just wrote a few things down really quick. The first thing I have is it's a great way to store your food from the garden. So if you have a garden, or if you don't have a garden, if you go to a farmer's market, it's a great way to get fresh foods, to be able to store those for months and years. Okay. Also, another thing is there's no chemicals, so you know what you're eating. Number three is it's a great way to save your food. So if you do have a garden and you happen to have an overabundance of a harvest, so that that food does not go to waste, it's a great way to save your food. Number four, it's less expensive than in the long run. Let me say that. Of course, you have to buy your equipment, and all that. But once you have really everything you need, it's less expensive in the long run. Let's take this off here. Another thing is that it's healthier for you than what you would buy from the grocery store. You can what you want. You can have different ingredients, different recipes. At the grocery store, you pretty much have to take whatever they give you. Number six, it's a great way to be self-sufficient, meaning that you are able to do it on your own from start to finish. And last, number seven, I have that really canning is a lost art. And people really don't can very much anymore. And so it's a great way if you have children, it's a great way to be able to teach your kids something that they will know for the rest of their life, and that they can teach your own children. So let me go ahead and go over real quick of the equipment that you will need, or will probably need, during your canning process. And like I said, a lot of this depends on what you're going to be canning as well. So the first thing I want to show you real quick are your jars. Okay, these are primarily two sizes that most people use. This is a pint jar, which is 16 ounces, and this is a 32-ounce quart jar. Okay, and you want to make sure that you get canning jars. You can't just use any jar. They have to be like a safe ball jar or a curd jar, because they will be in a high temperature. So you want to make sure that they're safe. All right. So we have a quart and we have a pint. Also, I'm going to take the lid off of this. When you buy them new from the store, they're going to come with the jar. They're going to come with the lid, and they're going to come with the band that goes on it. Now, I'm going to show you two different things. You'll probably see this for those who have never canned before in their life. You're going to see something that's going to say regular mouth or wide mouth. This is a regular mouth, so you'll notice that the mouth of this is smaller. This is a wide mouth. you'll notice it's almost the same width or same diameter as the jar. Okay, either one of them are fine. It just depends on what you prefer or what's available. Okay, so anyway, let me go ahead and talk about the lids. The lids, they have, if you notice, I'm gonna bring this up a little bit. Let's see, this brown section, that is kind of like a rubber seal. That is what's going to seal your food in your jar so that no oxygen gets into it. And let me just go ahead and say this. You can only, if you want to make sure you have new lids every time you can. You cannot reuse the lids over and over again. Once you've popped the top off of a canning jar, something that you've canned in the past, you can reuse them like if you're just storing stuff in your refrigerator. But you cannot reuse them again if you want to can, okay? Because once that seal is broken, that's it. You have to buy new lids, okay? So I want to make sure everybody understands that. This is, like I said, this is the band. This goes on inside of here. The lid fits inside, and then it just screws on. All right. Okay, the next thing I want to explain is there's two different types of canning methods. There's a water bath canner method, and there is a pressure canner method. And let me explain what those are. So the water bath canner method is for high acidic foods. We're talking about fruits, things like apples, pears, if you want to do strawberries, things like that, high acidic, tomatoes. Those are the things that you want to use in a water bath. So let me show you what a water bath canner is. This here is a water bath canner, okay? And you have the lid. And inside, I don't know if you can see, it's just inside, and there is a rack. There's a rack that fits inside, and the jars will sit inside of this rack in the canner. Okay, and that's it. That's all there is. This is a very simple method that's easy to use, and it does not take a long time. But like I said, depending on what you're canning, you're going to want to use a water bath canner for high acidic foods. Okay. The next thing that I have is a pressure canner. And I know they have new models at the store. This is an older model that I've had for years. I found it at like a garage sale or Craigslist a long time ago. Found out that it's like a 1950s model. So they don't make these anymore, but they all work the same. Okay, so this is a gauge pressure canner. They have one that's weighted. It has like a weight on it. I think it shakes. I don't have that. This is a gauge. Let me bring it closer. It's pretty heavy. It's going to have numbers from 5 all the way to 20. And then after 20, I think if you can see it well enough, it's going to say caution. Okay, and so the gauge here is going to tell you what the pounds per square inch is, or the pressure is going to be. And that all depends on what you're canning. When you do your canning, when you do your recipe, it will give you exactly the pressure, and it will give you how long you cook it in here. It tells you everything. All you have to do is read what it says and just go step by step, okay? So anyway, this is a pressure canner. And so for this one, I just take this lid off. It has a lid. And it's the same as a water bath. It has a rack right here that the cans sit on. Now, the reason why it has a rack is because you do not want the jars to sit directly on the base, okay, on the bottom, because the jars could break. So it kind of lifts it up, so forth. Okay, so this is for low acidic foods. Okay, low acidic foods would be things like green beans, corn, carrots, um, things that are not acidic. And when you buy a book, and I'll show you what book to get, it will tell you what type of foods you cook with what. Okay, but you want to use this for low acidic foods. All right, and when we do some canning, I will go through and explain to you how to use a water bath, how to use a pressure canner. Don't worry about all that. I'm just telling you the equipment that you'll probably need. Okay, one more thing about the pressure canner. Let me tell you. Okay, every year before you can, you want to get your gauge inspected at your cooperative extension office in your county. All right. Reason being, especially if you get it used. Reason being is because what they'll do is they will test to make sure that the gauge is exactly what it's supposed to be. If it is 2 pounds off, it could be 2 pounds higher or 2 pounds lower. Then you want to probably replace this. So, for example, if your recipe calls for 10 pounds for pressure, and you get your gauge inspected and it comes up 8 where it should be 10, or it comes up 12 and it should be 10, then that's, I would say, about the time that you would want to go ahead and get this changed, because depending on what this is, it's going to affect the way that your food is cooked, and you don't want to do anything that's could cause any problems later on down the road. This, I just got, matter of fact, I just got this gauge replaced this year. I have an old, and I don't have it with me. I had the original, and I got it inspected this year. And like I said, this is an old model, so I got it inspected, and it actually was about 6 pounds off. So I knew it was time to get that replaced. They don't cost very much money. Just depend on the model, so forth. But anyway, it's definitely worth it. Okay, just to be safe. All right, couple more things. You have a couple tools that you want to get, and I'll show you. This is a headspace tool, and it looks like a little wand. You're going to also use this to kind of get your bubbles out or whatever inside. If you don't have this, you can use like a wooden handle of like a spoon or something like that. If you don't have this, it's not a big deal. But if you notice, it has little ridges or little stair steps. And what that is that tells you the distance between the top of the jar to where it's going to say you need to have so much head space, maybe an inch head space and so forth. And if you don't have this, don't worry, because I will explain to you how you can measure what you like. If it calls for ½ an inch, an inch, quarter of an inch, how you can measure on the jar without this. It's just, this makes it a lot easier. Okay. The other thing that I have is, you want to get a jar funnel, and it's just a funnel, but it's specifically for jarring because it has a wide opening, so it's easy. If you put this on, you have a lot of content going into the jar at the same time. It just makes it easy for it to go inside. And you also will want to get, this is a jar lifter. You definitely want to have one of these, and it opens like this. And what happens is, when you are about ready to get your jars out of your canner, your water bath, or your pressure canner, they are extremely hot. You do not want to touch your jars with your hand, trust me. So what this is I'll show you once the lid is on, like that. It's going to be inside the water bath or wherever you are processing it. You're going to take this and you're going to grab it. Okay, just squeeze it very gently. You can take it out and you set it down. It's just more for safety kind of precautions there. And then this is like a magnetic lid lifter. So sometimes what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to simmer your lids in water, like kind of hot water, not boiling. You do not want to boil your lids, but put it in hot water. And so a lot of times the water is hot, you may have a lot of lids in it, and basically has a little magnet on the bottom, and you just pick it up, put on your jar, just makes it easy. All right. It's not necessary, but if you have it, it's just convenient. If you have extra lids, you want to buy them because like I said, the next time you want to be able to have these so that they're new and unused. And one of the great resources that I go by is called the Ball Blue Book. Put it up there. And this book has been around for years. They update it every so often, but pretty much the content is the same. They may add more recipes, but basically it is a step-by-step guide of how to can. So if for some reason you're not able to access the video, or you lose it, or you forget some of the things I said, I would strongly suggest getting a Ball Blue Book because it has really everything you need in it. It has explanations. We're going to talk about this. This is what I was talking about. Ways that you can look on the jar to figure out your distance of your headspace. It has recipes. It just has a lot of really good information. Definitely would get one of those. And I'll just show you a couple, another option thing I have. This is not required, okay? If you have it, great. If you don't have it, it's not a big deal. I bought this little contraption thing from a yard sale long time ago. It is basically like a food grinder, kind of like vegetables, or I guess you could probably put some type of meats or something in here. But you just put it, you take the legs, and this is old. Like I said, it's probably, I'm sure it's probably an antique, or I don't know. But anyway, this is the inside. It has like a little disc, and you take it and you just put your food in here, you grind it, and then underneath the food comes out. So we're actually, when we do like our applesauces, we're going to be using this. It just makes it more convenient. Once our apples are ready, we dump them in here and we start grinding it, and then all of the content comes out, and then that's what you use. And this is more of a finer, you can use it wider or finer. Not necessary, just convenient. And then the last thing is you want to have some canning salt. Okay, so I'm gonna put this up here so y'all can see. It is Ball canning and pickling salt. Do not use iodized salt. You cannot use iodized salt when you can. You have to use a special type of salt. I have seen a couple people post that you can use pink Himalayan salt. I've never used it. I've always used a canning salt because I always like to be safe. But that's just kind of like we use it in our green beans. That way when you open the jar, you put it in your pot, you heat it up, it's got some seasoning to it. It's not just bland food. All right. That, and then if you have like something big, I happen to find this at one of our local stores. This is a humongous pot, and I love it. It's stainless steel, and you use it for canning, and so you can just put a whole lot of stuff in there because you're going to need the space to put all that in. So that is pretty much the equipment that you're going to need. I hope I didn't forget anything. If I did, I apologize. If anyone can think of something else that maybe I did not mention that you will need, please put it in the comments so we can all glean from that. But anyway, if you have any questions about anything, please give me a PM me. I'll be more than happy to answer whatever I can. And so I'm excited. Let's just go ahead and get started canning.